What's up, y'all? What's good? It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. Today we're going to be talking about this senseless mall shootings we've been having going on. I want to check my audio and video before we get started. I am back with another one. I told you I was going to come back. We have been having some technical difficulties with our audio, with our video, I should say. So let me check everything before we start up today's show. Make sure you guys can hear me and see me properly. You know, that was the hold up. So here we go. So hopefully you guys can start up today's show. Okay, I can be heard. Give me 1 second. Let me check this other angle. Check this other angle. Okay, so I can definitely be heard. Check this other angle. Okay, so I can definitely be heard. Okay, so we are good. We good. All right, so what's going on, everybody? We are back. Like I promised, I told everybody I was going to come back. I want to just come back and speak about these senseless mall shootings we've been having going on. So I'm gonna wait for a few people to come in and jump in before I start up today's conversation. I might even send out an invite. Send out an invite to my homeboy Joe. Joe, if you're watching, I'm about to send you an invite out. But yeah, I just don't understand it, man, with these senseless mall shootings, these senseless so-called beefs, that's been leaving innocent men and women hurt and dead. So give me your opinions on this, on these senseless mall shootings. I just want to come in, and I'm not going to be long. Just want to come in and talk about that for a second. We just recently had a shooting at Fairlane Mall, probably less than a week ago, and then less than a week, here we go again with the same old. It's out of hand, out of control. With this young generation and these with this gun violence, So you look, I have audio and video of this situation. I'm gonna play this real quick and then I'll get back to my commentary. I'm not gonna be long. I just wanted to come in. Actually, I just wanted to do a test to make sure that everything is good with my video. Because the last few days we've been having a few technical difficulties, but here we go. I'll play this real quick and all right, here we go, guys.
Details emerging tonight about that shooting at Great Lakes Crossing Mall over the weekend. One man was killed, a woman injured. We did bring you this story, first breaking news on Saturday. Tonight, loved ones identifying that man as 20-year-old Keyshawn Emery, the young man from Pontiac losing his life after police say a bathroom altercation led to a food court attack that ended with shots fired. This comes just a week after another mall shooting in Dearborn. 2 19-year-olds were killed at Fairlane Town Center on July 3rd. Today, 7 News Detroit reporter Whitney Burney spoke with shoppers and spoke with a firearms expert who says malls are not gun-free zones.
After a terrifying day at the Great Lakes Crossing outlet in Auburn Hills,
it was sheer luck that I didn't come here Saturday.
Shoppers returned Monday with some added anxiety.
My job wasn't near it, but the thing is, though, it can just happen anywhere. So, it's just very scary.
Saturday, police say a group of men got into a fight inside the food court bathroom. Not long after, police say 2 men attacked a 22-year-old in the food court. Investigators say the 22-year-old then pulled out a gun and fired multiple shots, injuring a 19-year-old woman and killing a 20-year-old man who was involved in the food court brawl. The shooter was taken into custody.
Did you ever imagine that something like this would happen at Great Lakes Crossing?
No, I never really ever thought about it. So when I seen it on my phone that day, I was kind of surprised and shocked. Nobody wants to lose their family from gun violence.
Monday, family identified the 20-year-old as Keyshawn Emery of Pontiac. His girlfriend telling me off camera he graduated from the Arts and Technology Academy of Pontiac, where he was a basketball player. Family remembering him for his smile that they say could light up any room. And as the investigation continues, police sharing the 22-year-old suspected shooter was a CPL holder.
I think anytime people gather, there's potential for violence, unfortunately. And if we look at a mall is not a gun-free zone.
Former law enforcement and attorney William Kusick is the owner of Action Impact Firearms and Training Center. He says when firing your weapon, there can be a lot of red tape, even with the proper licensure.
If you're going to carry a gun, you need to know that before you can shoot it, at a human being, you need to be facing immediate risk of life-threatening injury or death. That's not always clear-cut now, is it?
The case now rests in the hands of the prosecutor. We're awaiting more information on potential charges. At Great Lakes Crossing, Whitney Burney, 7 News Detroit.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it and come out, and then I'll do my commentary, and then we'll go ahead and end this. But yeah, another senseless shooting. Like I said again, we just recently spoke about a senseless shooting that was at Fairlane Mall, almost less than a week ago, and then we get this shooting over here. Hold on, now it looks like I'm still having technical difficulties. Okay, look like yeah, and then less than a week later, we get this same shooting over here at Great Lakes Mall. It's senseless. I don't understand. You had a group of men that tried to attacked this young man in the bathroom, and then led out to the food court where it was a brawl, and this young man pulled out and shot innocent people. And this is what I don't understand. I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share too. I would love to hear you guys' opinion. This is what I don't understand, and this is what pisses me off. It's one thing, you get into it and you pull your firearm out trying to protect yourself, but in every situation that we hear about with these mall shootings, innocent people have been shot and killed. And it's never the people who started the fight or the people who were fighting against each other is getting shot. It's always innocent people that's dying in these senseless situations. And what I don't understand is, in the Dearborn situation, these were teens, who were out at the mall shooting. Like I said, and I talked about that. When that happened, we used to go out to, I remember once upon a time where we would go out to Fairlane to, to shop, have a good time, as teenagers to, and do what teenagers do, holler at girls and things like that and have fun, not to go out there to be beefing and then shooting, getting into shootouts at the mall. That's one thing that I just don't understand with this new generation, but like I said, during that Fairlane situation, there's a place for you young motherfuckers that want to go out to the mall with guns and cause chaos like that, and take innocent lives. They definitely got penitentiaries and jails for situations for you young motherfuckers that want to go out there to these malls and hurt and kill innocent people. BJ3, if you can hear me and see me, I am live. Come on in, man. I'll send you a link. But yeah, I just don't understand. We used to go out to Fairlane Mall as kids and would just hang out there. It was the hangout spot for, mainly teenagers to go out there and have a good time, not for teenagers to go out there and for it to be a okay corral. I don't understand. I got a few comments. Gavin Mason, 1012 said, hi, how are you? I'm good, and yourself? Just sitting here talking about these mall shootings with these youths. It's out of control. Innocent people are getting hurt and innocent people are dying through these so-called mall beefs, and it's crazy. So at the end of the day, man, we need to get ahead of this shit. We need to sit these youth down, talk to them, and they need to be able to handle situations with conflict resolution, because in each case that, we spoke about with these mall shootings, it all led from fights. None of these young motherfuckers had conflict resolution, and it starts at home. So parents, we have to be able to sit our kids down, teach them how to handle situations with conflict resolution, because at the end of the day, you have two innocent people. You have innocent people that lost their lives. And then with this Great Lakes shooting, you got a 22-year-old man that's probably, about to lose his life and go to jail for the rest of his life. And then you had a young man that was that was injured, and a young woman that lost her life, just out at the mall, doing what you do at the mall, shopping and enjoying life. So like I said, man, we've been talking about this white on black crime, where we've been finding black folks coming up missing, drowning, or hung, but we got to get back to, and I see I'm having a little Wi-Fi going on. I think that's what's going on. I'm having some Wi-Fi issues because I'm sitting here looking at myself too, looking at what you guys are looking at. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, we have to be able to learn conflict resolution with our youth. We have to be able to sit them down, and most of these parents, man, you're going to have to sit down and train your kids, because they got a place to have a penitentiary for you YNs that want to continue going to these malls with these firearms and trying to handle conflict through shooting it out. That's not going to get you nowhere. You know, so again, I just want to come in and talk about this for a hot second. You know, we have to keep it real, man. You know, we talk about, like I said, all this white on black crime with all these all these young men and women that's been coming up, drowned, hung, or lynched. But yet and still, we're still taking each other's lives, with this black on black crime. It's horrible, man. We got to get out of this. What is it about our people that we cannot get along? We cannot handle conflict without someone losing their lives. So we just got to get back to the basics, man. It all starts at home. This young generation has gotten out of control, because it starts with, fathers not being in the house. And, it all starts from there. So we got to get ahead of this. Mothers, we got to start making sure these young men are having positive role models in their life, because this is what a lot of this is stemming from and coming from, not the proper upbringing, because who goes to the mall with firearms? So that's that right there is just it's like you're almost looking for a conflict, or beef, so at the end of the day, man, we have to get ahead of this situation. Our youths are just out of hand, man. And they're doing the jobs of, they're doing better jobs than what, and this came from one of the, ex-KKK members, they're doing a better job than what the KKK was doing back in that time at killing blacks. So we got to get ahead of this, man. We've been talking about white on black crime the past few weeks, and and it's still out of control in our community, with this black on black crime, especially with these youth. With these YNs has gotten out of control. They're going to make it to the point where, these malls are, they're not going to be allowing certain groups of people to come in these malls and, and patronize, with all these senseless shootings. Because I'm gonna be honest, if the mall was my business, and these situations like this kept going on, I would not want a certain group of people, up in the mall if they're causing my business to be hindered. So at the end of the day, man, we have to take a real look in the face, and just get, like I said, to get ahead of this, man. It's really, it's our youth that's out of control, that's causing all these, these situations at the mall, man, and just, taking innocent lives for no reason. So we can't continue to complain about, what's going on throughout the country, and we're sitting back, still continue to take each other lives. So yeah, man, it was a senseless shooting. It started off as a fight in the bathroom, and it led out to the food court, and it led to a young man being injured and a young woman losing her life. A horrible situation. So at the end of the day, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts, your opinion on this situation. And again, it starts from parenting at home. Most of these situations are probably coming from single household parents, not being able to, I'm just going to be real, not raising their children properly. And not giving them the tools that they need when they leave out the house to be able to, tools besides them guns, not giving them, the right tools that they need to be able to handle conflict, conflict resolution. And that's what our youth of today are missing, and it's a sad situation. But I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Give me your thoughts on this situation. Like I said, a young, innocent woman life has been taken out of this situation, and a young man, was injured out of this situation. Like I said, a week later from that Fairlane Mall shooting, and it seemed like, we these people that was involved in the situation would have learned from this Fairlane situation. So we're taking these on the street beefs into the mall, and innocent people is getting hurt, versus you motherfuckers actually hitting the target of what you're trying to hit. You guys are hitting innocent people, and that's the part that the public and mainly a lot of people get upset about, is just innocent bystanders that are getting hit and killed. From motherfuckers who do not know how to shoot. So yeah, man, I just want to come back earlier. I came in, I was having a lot of technical difficulties with my video. So I just want to really come in and just talk about this real quick and kind of do a test on my video. It looks like, I think I fixed the problem. It looks better on this end, and I want to apologize. Like yesterday, we had a pretty good conversation and a pretty good show talking about the Nolan Wells situation, and today I thought that the autopsy report was going to come back, and today has came and went, and there's no autopsy report about this whole Nolan Wells situation. So, in my opinion, it looks like they're going to be trying to sweep this situation up under the rug. You even had a Mississippi judge that came on yesterday and spoke about the situation with this Nolan Wells. She said if he was a judge that still was presiding, charges would have been brought upon these young men, these so-called friends that Nolan Wells went out there on that island with. And what's circulating around today is that the young man made it back to land, that he actually went to a party, and there was a situation where he got into a scuffle and was beat up and hurt. So a lot of the reports that's been coming back, like the young men were saw cleaning the boat out, it's starting to make a lot of sense, meaning if this young man did make it back home and got into a confrontation and got hurt and beat up, it makes sense that what the reports were saying, that, they took this young man back out there to the island and dumped him. That's why originally when they went out there and searched, they did not find that young man's body. They didn't find his body until the next day. And they actually found a body where the father and some of the original searchers went out there and was searching, and they actually found the body. So it's a lot of fishy shit going on with that case. Even with the investigators, even with the authorities. Because even like with the Memphis judge who I showed video who spoke about this situation, he said there's no way that they should have at least brought the three friends that he was on with the boat, should have brought them in for questioning. So that's why a lot of black folks, a lot of black people are thinking that, we're going to see another cover up. They're probably going to come back with, with some type of drowning, incidental drowning, some shit like that, knowing that, this young man was an athlete. He knew how to swim. And then with the videos that were coming back, him asking for his phone, like where the fuck is his phone at and things like that. And it's just too much evidence for the authorities to have not interrogated these three friends. Yep. So, but yeah, man, I just want to, like I said, I just want to come in for a second and just talk about these mass shootings that's been going on here in Detroit. It's senseless, a lot of senseless, unnecessary mass shootings been going on this past few weeks. And it's out of control. We've taken the streets into these malls, and this definitely, I'm quite sure Dearborn or Great Lakes are not going to allow that shit to happen again. They're probably going to have security out there searching or some type of metal detectors out there before you even enter the malls, and that's unheard of. But I wouldn't be mad or I wouldn't be upset, for situations like that. Because the public, man, hey, look, they have to feel like they're safe, and these malls are not going to allow that. And like I said in the first show that I did with at that Fairlane shooting, I'm quite sure they got cameras where they're going to be able to zoom in at everybody who participated in that incident out there, and they have a place for each and every one of you guys who are out there shooting. So y'all need to get it together. We got to get it together though, y'all. We cannot continue going on with our youth with this gun violence, and like I said, it all starts at home with the parents. We have to sit our children down and talk to them about conflict resolution. It may be, over with for these young men who did not learn it, but we have to continue to talk to our youth. We have to continue to teach them, that everything doesn't have to end with gun violence. Talk your way out of a situation. You have to learn how to, talk yourself out of a situation. because innocent lives were took. So like I said, man, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Your boy is still closing down on 1K subscribers, so I cannot do it without you guys hitting that subscribe button. I just want to come in real quick and talk about this. This is something that I wanted to talk about yesterday, but this Nolan Wells situation has, pretty much has everybody consumed, and what's been going on with that. I thought autopsy report was going to come back today. We have not heard anything about the autopsy report. In my opinion, I think the authorities down there are trying to cover the situation up. So hopefully the parents will get some answers soon. Hopefully their autopsy report will come back and we'll be able to get some some real answers, because from what it looks like, the authorities down there are trying to cover this situation up. Yep. So I want to say what up, though, to everybody over there on Facebook that's watching. And for everybody over there on Facebook, I need for you guys to come over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and then you can go back on YouTube, because like I said, I need for you guys, and we're less than 60. I have to go check, less than 60 subscribers away from 1K, and I cannot do it. And it looked like we have my issue fixed too, because I've been sitting here watching the show myself, and I don't think I have any. I think I took care of that problem. So. But yeah, man, we definitely the summer really has just we are a month into the summer, and already we've been hearing about a lot of violence from from our youth. And we got to get ahead of this. Especially at these malls. We're having innocent people hurt, and innocent people have been dying. Behind these senseless mall shootings. You expect to go out to the mall to shop, have a good time, fraternize, and things like that, not to expect to go out there and lose your life. So hopefully they'll get everyone who's involved. What up, though, BJ3? You want me to send you a link, man? Tell me if you want to come in. I saw your call. I was in the middle of actually doing this show. So if you want to come on in, man. I want to talk about these. Actually, I've been talking about these senseless mall shootings that we've been having here. We just, you knew about the one at Fairlane that happened a week ago, and it was just one over the weekend, Saturday at Great Lake Crossing, where a young man got shot, and then a young woman lost her life. But yeah, I'm gonna send you a invite, BJ3. I was getting ready to end this show, but I will send you an invite. I was kind of doing a test run, trying to make sure that my audio and video was showing right. Because the last few days, and like yesterday, I had a really, really good show, but my video was showing horrible. So I'm sending you a link right now, BJ3. If you want to come on in. I would love to chop it up with you. Okay, so I just sent BJ3 a link. Okay, I sent it to you. So yeah, man, I'm just sitting here chopping it up, talking about a few things we're talking about. We're talking about these senseless mall shootings that's been going on here in Detroit. You had one that happened at Dearborn Mall about a week ago, where you had a brawl that started in a shootout. Okay, we got BJ3 getting ready to come on in. BJ3, what up, though?
There you go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What's happening, man? What's happening?
What up with you?
Man,
we're just kind of doing a test run, man. Earlier I just came in, and I didn't like how my audio and video was going, so I had to come back in and do a little test run. But it looked like I think I took care of the problem. But yeah, man, just sitting here chopping it up about these mall shootings that we've been having going on here in Michigan, man. We recently, about a week ago, had a shooting, which I think we spoke about that. You had a shooting out at Fairlane Mall, about a week ago, where a couple of people were shot and hurt. Was shot and killed, I should say. And over the weekend, this past Saturday, you just had another shooting at Great Lakes Crossing, where you had a 22-year-old man who got into a brawl with a few people in the bathroom, and it led out to the food court, where a young man was injured and a young woman lost her life. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on this situation, BJ3. Because as you know, we used to go to the mall as Fairlane Mall as teenagers, you know, to have a good time, to shop and holler at females. You know, so give me your thought on this senseless shootings.
I must have clicked some. I got two different things going at the same time. I try to mute one. I don't know why I get it. But you know me, I try not to really look into the violent stuff. I see it, but I try not to look heavily into it. I seen one incident where it was a dude, he had on red and he was handling a man and my man put out a thing. So I'm not sure if that was too lame or whatever, but it is a lot going on with the youth. But I'm gonna say this: I'm proud of you. You've matured. You know what I'm
You
saying?
say that again. Say that. You kind of broke up a little bit.
I said I'm proud of you. You've matured. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've grown. You know what I'm saying? So
I appreciate you.
you know, listen to you talk. I remember back in the days, and the crime rate was pretty dang on high, you know, during our teenage years. And I
Right.
remember, you know, step on somebody's shoe, and it was a pretty good chance that it was going to be some
That you was gonna be some furniture was gonna be moving, or some hands was gonna be
100%.
thrown.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, the kids are kids. You know what I'm saying? You go through that phase, and we need more people like you that's trying to educate them and mentor them, because we know where that could end up. We know where your life could end up if you continue on that path.
Yeah, it's two places. Go ahead, though, BJ. Not to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't a whole lot to it. I know he's about to end. I'm glad you let me in, but you're right. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of options.
Yep, you hit it right on the nose, man. It's only a few places where, you know, where these shootings, these senseless shootings will get you. You know, but that's my job over here, BJ3. You know, we once were used. You know, we once went through what a lot of these youths are going through, but we handle a lot of our conflict with conflict resolution versus trying to shoot it out. You know, and that's the difference between our generation and today's generation. You know, if we had conflict resolution, our conflict resolution was these right here. You know, we throw them hands. You know, in today's youth, man, they would rather handle conflict resolution with shooting it out.
Yeah,
You know,
I
so
would
and
say
that's the
too.
difference, man. And it starts, like I was saying earlier before you came in, it starts at home with parenting. And most of these young men that's finding themselves in this situation are coming from single household parenting, you know, without fathers in the house. And that's one of the, you know, leading situations of these youths that's out of control, man. You know, there's no fathers in the house, you know, talking about situations like we're talking about it today. You know, so that's why I try to come on here and, you know, and give my and just try to drop some knowledge to these youth, man, you know, because a lot of them have not heard men talk to them like this, or tried to give them advice, you know, or try to talk to them about conflict resolution, you know. So, you know, again, BJ3, you know, you deal with youth, you know, in your previous job, you know. So, you know, what's some of the things that you can say to the any of the youth that may be watching this? What advice would you give to them when dealing with, you know, situations like we see these mall beefs and things like that, or not just even mall beef? Give them some type of resolutions to be able to handle, you know, conflict without ending in gunplay or someone losing their life.
You know, it's a different day, and one of the things that I would definitely advise is not to really care about what everybody's thinking. I know that's hard because we live on social media today. Back in the days, if you got beat up, everybody in your neighborhood knew about it, but not everybody in the world. Now, if somebody gets smashed in Chicago, everybody in New York, you know, it's everywhere. You know, so you looking at it. So in reality, you know, it's like, you know, everywhere. One of the, like my man said on Friday, said, you use these, you live to fight
Another day.
that's I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Everybody can't take losses, man. This generation, they don't take losses, man. They don't take losses.
See, and that's what's wrong with this generation. They scared to take a loss. They scared to get their ass beat. But like he said, you with these, you're gonna live to fight it, you're gonna live to fight another day. And that's what's wrong with this generation. They don't want to take a loss, they don't want to, get that ass spanked, and go home. And they worried about what the other people are gonna think about.
Yep.
If they got their ass kicked or they lost that fight. So it all goes back to, parenting, man. We have to be able to talk to our children and let them know, like, look, it's going to come situations where you may get your ass whooped, but you will live to see another day. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
it's all about just having, like I said, man, sit down, talk with your children, explaining them about situations, because we've all gotten to fights at school. We've all gotten to situations outside of school, maybe at the mall or things like that, but we never handled these situations with gunplay. Yep. I'm liking the beard, man. I'm liking the glasses look too.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
These kids is basically they just gotta. One of my partners used to say, she say, 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? If you just think about whatever situation is going on, give yourself 30 seconds before you make your next move. A lot of time you'll walk away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have a conflict resolution, and everything's different. Because back in the days, growing up, if you cussing on the street, the neighbor tell your parent, or she may snatch you up. Now, as an adult, you say something to a kid, you might have to fight the dad. You're like, hold on, man, I'm just trying to, you know what I'm saying? But it's just different,
Yeah.
man. Everything is different.
Or not
Everything is
even a dad. You might end up fighting the goddamn kid. Because you try to tell them something, they want to say some smart shit, and you like, hold on, I'm trying to tell you something right, and you mouthing off at me. So a
Yeah.
lot of the adults won't say anything to these, to these youths of today, because they scared that,
Right.
you may get shot or you may be in an incident with them by trying to tell them
That's
to do
true.
something right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. But what I don't understand, BJ3, what is it with who takes guns to the mall, man?
People that don't want to take an L.
Yeah, I guess.
That's it. I mean,
Yeah, and I just don't understand that, because the last show I did about the shooting that happened in Dearborn, and you had made a comment in the comment section too, and I had said something. I'm like, man, I remember when we used to go out to Fairlane, it was all about, just trying to have a good time and holler at the girls and things like that. I'm quite sure a lot of people can contest about, going out to the mall and what the mall was about, as a youngster. It wasn't
yeah.
about going out there trying to beef or, have fights or things like that. We went out there to try to holler at girls and things like that, and just have a good time.
I agree with you. It was definitely about who can get the most numbers when you hit the fair lane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we went deep enough. If it was an issue, we was gonna deal with whoever it was that was trying to solve the problem. So
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
so
Now, in the most, it would be a fight or a scuffle or some things
that's it.
like that, but no one ever lost their lives, in a situation out at the mall when we were out there in our days. One thing we was not afraid to throw them hands.
Yeah, we fought.
Yep. See, we got to get back to those times, man. And I'm like I said, it starts at home with parenting. Because with great and good parenting, your children will not think that they have to bring guns to the mall. So parents, you got to get ahead of this. You have to be able to talk to your children. You have to be able to give them conflict resolution of how to handle situations when the situations like that approach you. So BJ3, what else do you have on your mind, man? We've been talking about these senseless mall shootings. What do you think about this Nolan Wells situation? The young man who went out on the boat ride with his white friends that never came back, that lost his life.
You know, I know we're in America and that nobody like to talk about the race thing, but it's American. It's always a race thing. And the thing is, as a black man, female, you always have to be aware of your surroundings. And if you are the only one that look like you, You gotta know if things come down
BJ3, you
to
might
it.
want to turn your volume down because I'm getting a lot of feedback from you.
I
I
know,
hear
man. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure that part out. Let me see.
you may have another window open, but I can hear you, but I hear echo is what
I've
I'm
been hearing
saying.
echo the whole time.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see.
But it's all good, man. While you trying to figure it out, you can just continue saying what you were saying. But at the end of the day, hopefully, this will be a lesson learned for the youth that's have been watching these two shootings in okay, let me bring BJ3 back in. Okay, look like BJ3 dropped out, but at the end of the day, man, we have to get ahead of these situations. We have to go back to old school, man. There's no reason why young folks should be out at the mall with firearms. I don't understand that part. Are we become that scary to the point where we have to settle everything through gunplay? It seems like since these CPLs have been available to everybody, that's all we hear about is, you don't hear about people throwing hands anymore. Everybody want to shoot. Yep. So I'm just waiting. Okay, here go BJ3.
All right, I figured it out. I was watching the YouTube and on the YouTube. That's what it was.
Right. That's what I figured. I'm like, okay, you got something in the background playing.
Because it was the whole time. I'm like, why am I hearing myself? So yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that's
everything
what it
is
was.
different,
You
though,
sound a
man.
lot
You know what I'm
better
saying? Like, we definitely have to teach the kids. You have to teach your children. You want to avoid certain situations at all costs. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times when you with a crowd, that mob mentality is serious. Like they just
Right.
you start following. But you want to teach your kids to be leaders. And when they recognize some bull stuff is about to pop off, let me just separate myself because I don't even want to be a part of it type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the days, we were more afraid of our parents than anything. You know what I'm saying? And these
Right.
kids, they don't have fear for authority figures or their parents. Like they can give a damn either way. So it makes it a little harder. But like I said, everything is different. So you do want to the people that can't get to their children. You want to teach them. You don't want to teach them. If it looked like it's about to get funny, like certain situations, you could tell going to walk away. You know what I'm saying? When you see a crowd of people starting to get together, you want to go the other way because we know you at Hart Plaza and you see two group of guys starting to come together. It's like let's go ahead and walk out of here because we already know it's about to
you can sense trouble, right? Your spidey senses should be going
it's about
on.
to be some gunplay coming up. So I ain't trying to get hit with no straight bullet. So we
Right.
already know to get out the way, but it's different, man. It's different. And as bad as it looks, as bad as it seems, I think the internet definitely multiplies the way that things look. Because if you look at the statistics when we were growing up, because I'm talking about from like, look, growing up in Detroit was rough. You know what I'm saying? Like if we look at the stats from the early 90s, late 80s to now, as far as murders, our upbringing, it was way higher. It was way higher. When crack first hit the scene, that people were getting killed.
You think that the death rate was higher back in our time than it is now? I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one, BJ3.
I googled it. I said, this is what I put in, and I'll tell you what I said. I said, what was the murder rate in the inner city compared to in the inner city in the early 90s compared to now? And it says the national murder rate in the inner cities, urban areas are significantly lower today during the historical peaks in the early 90s. While the inner cities, defined as different things, they say anywhere from 50 to 70% lower than what it was.
Well, you know what? And now since you said that, I can go back to the crack era and
it was rough,
that
man.
epidemic where that and me and Big Ken, we talked about that the other day. Look, a lot of stuff was issued in that crack era, and when the music changed over, when rap music changed over to this gangster rap, and it's and the stats you're looking at is probably right, because a lot of lives were taken, a lot of people were locked up, and at the 80s and in the beginning of the 90s era.
Yeah,
You know, so
it was
from the
rough.
80s to I'll probably say to the 2000, you know, it was rough, you know, and those were the times that we were that we grew up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, it was crazy. I mean,
So, but yeah,
now
man, I
we
guess
see it. The internet puts everything from every city. You hear about everything. Like we wouldn't have knew nothing about somebody in Florida, you know, growing up back in the days. But now,
right.
yeah. So you just, yeah, man, you got to be careful, man. Just period. You just, you know, you got to be careful. You got to be a leader and know when to kind of walk away from situations.
Yeah, and you hit it
Yeah,
right on the nose, BJ3. Most of these youths of today are followers. They are
man.
not leaders. You know, and like I said again, and I hate to keep reiterating on that, but it starts at home. You know, most of these situations are stemming from absentee fathers not being there. You know, to be able to have these conversations that we're having now, BJ3, with our children. You know, so
Yeah,
when you have a father that's not there, that's absent, that's not having these type of conversations with his children, whether it's female, young women or young men, you know, these will be the results of that. You know, and we see the results of that now through these mall shootings, through you know, a lot of stuff that we see that goes on throughout the country. You know,
yeah,
that's dealing with our youth.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So
man.
look, man, you know, I'm not gonna hold you long. I know you said you didn't have that much, you only had a few seconds. So I just want to you know, bring you in and get your input on these senseless mall shootings, man. We have to get ahead of this, you know. So hopefully at the end of the day, you know, this message reaches our youth, you know, and reaches some of the parents, and we can go back to trying to teach our children conflict resolution. You know, so BJ3, if you don't have anything else that you want to bring to the table or talk about, let everybody know where they can reach you, and give everybody your last words, and let everybody
Hey
know what you
man,
got going on, I should say.
hey man, you know, my whole goal, like you said, I work with youth, and it's a lot of education that need to be put out there for them, because a lot of times they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have to see something more than what they used to seeing. Like you said, with the music and all that kind of stuff, it's not necessarily a good thing. But you know, we
It's
have
the
to keep
music, BJ3. It's the
it's
music that's hurting our children.
that is definitely hurting and not helping. But it's a whole lot of things that goes along with it. But yeah, I say, you know, you got to teach the kids. You got to teach the kids another way. I can't stop it. It's ringing. There we
It's
go.
all good.
But yeah. So I say, you know, it definitely takes parenting. You know what I'm saying? It takes parenting, and as black folks, and we had to come up with a way. We had to come up with a way to to reach the masses, in a positive way. You know, we
And
have all
this is a way what we're doing right now. This one of the ways that we're trying to reach out, doing our due diligence. You
yep,
know,
hats off to
trying to
you,
reach
man.
people.
Hats
Yep.
off to you. Yep. We have to, because it's like it's we've come a long way. You know what I'm saying? We've come a long way, but we still doing stuff that just don't make sense. And it's like, you know, like you said, back in the days, we grew up like, if you had a beef, like you in the backyard with the gloves, you know what I'm saying? And you just go ahead and handle it. And we did have them skills. We were able to
Right.
do that thing if it was necessary. But you know,
Right.
we was some little bad butts too, and we eventually we evolved into, you know, some other stuff too. But we was blessed, you know what I'm saying? We was blessed to not be in no serious trouble. But you know, that's not the case with a lot of them. And somebody got to teach them. You know what I'm saying? I was just talking to one of my frat brothers, and it's like, you know, as a people, you know, we have to hold each other accountable, and we have to teach. We have to be able to teach. And these kids nowadays, man, they, like we said, they don't listen to nobody. So somebody got to get through to them. We had stuff
Right.
like Scare Straight. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know if that work nowadays, but Scare Straight was
See,
enough
and we
just
got to
watching it
get
on
to them
TV.
before they get to the point of being scared straight, before they getting put in situations like with
Right,
prison and jail and stuff like
right,
that. You know, so
right.
again, BJ, it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
start at home with the parenting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, because
Exactly.
you don't want to wait until you know they're locked up, or worse, to be able to have these type of conversations that we're having now, with your children. You want to start at a young age. You want to you actually have to show them, what's going on throughout the world. Like with my son, when he gets old enough to be able to understand, what's going on here in the world, I'm going to show him, different scenarios and different things. And so when he's faced with these situations, he'll know how to handle them.
Right. So
Yeah,
you
so
asked me.
it takes a. Go ahead, my bad, BJ3.
No, I was just saying you asked me about me, and my whole for 20 years, over 20 years, I was giving back to the youth and trying to work with kids, and now I'm in a position where I'm trying to educate people with finances, and it's
Right.
ways to when you have things to look forward to, when you have some goals to reach, you know what I'm saying? When your parents say we going to Disney or we going to here or we going to there, but you got to get these grades right. You know what I'm saying? You have something to reach for. You have something to look forward to behave, to do those things. And that's what I'm on now, trying to get people to understand how to position themselves and for the financial future, to make sure you can set things up. My whole goal now is generational wealth. That's what I do now, man. So if anybody
Right.
looking to find a way how to set that up, or what's the first steps to take, holler at me. That's what I do.
Yeah, and that's something that's that we need to take very serious. Generational wealth. That's why we're behind the 8 ball now. Because generational wealth. Because we didn't start off with it. So do yourself a favor. Make sure that if you have any questions or anything about wanting to get started or want any answers or questions about generational wealth or life insurance, get with BJ3. He's the man that can help you out. He's a professional. This is what he do. So definitely get with him about that. But BJ3, I don't have anything else to add to this conversation. I want to thank you for coming on, giving your input on on these small shootings, man, and then just overall with this young man who lost his life. And I do want to ask you one more thing. What do you think it is, BJ3, with do you think we're being targeted? Because like I said, I can count on my hand this year of how many stories that I've done, where you have now women too, where you have Black men and women that's being found hanging from trees and some fences, things like that. So what is it with us hanging out with our white counterparts that we're finding ourselves unalived?
I won't say targeting. I will say that it's probably a couple different things. One, it never really went away. I'll say that it never really went away. My nephew went to college in South Carolina, and he hit me. Like last year, he was saying that there's still sundown cities,
Downtowns, yes, sir.
So that it never really went away. But I would say with administration not getting into the politics, with certain people promote certain things, people, they doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's and
I agree with you.
And the internet, you know what I'm saying, and the internet. So you hear about stuff that we wouldn't hear about normally. We know about everything going on. It hits the screen and everybody knows about it. So, yeah, man, it's a lot, man. It's a whole lot going on. You gotta be prayed up, and you gotta be careful and keep your eyes on the swivel. Talking on the phone and walking around. You gotta be paying attention to what's going on around you, man. You don't want nobody running up.
I agree with you 100%. And I got a quote that I've been kind of using too. You have to watch the people that you hang around with, and you have to watch the friends that you hang with, or you can find yourself hanging by yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So look, I want to thank everybody who made a comment on today's show. I want to thank BJ3 for coming in, giving his input, on these mall shootings and just what's been going on throughout the country. Again, I want to thank you for giving your input. Hopefully this message reaches someone, and it'll save someone's life. And it'll help someone's life, so, but at the end of the day, man, this is what we do over here at the What Up Doe Show. We're going to keep continuing to bring you guys this information, and just trying to put knowledge out here, and just trying to help our youth to be, so we can get back to what made Black American great again, you know, and that's what we need to get back to, making Black America great again, you know, because I think at the end of the day, when Black America is great, it's going to make it great for everyone. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I want to thank BJ3 again for coming on to the show. And I want to thank everybody who made a comment and continue to hit that subscribe button. Your boy is less than 60 subscribers away from 1K. You know, that was a goal that we set out 2 years ago when we started this YouTube thing, and we are there. You know, and I want to thank everybody who has hit that button thus far. So look, I'm not going to hold you guys up. It's been another one. It's your boy Dame D, and we are out. Peace.